Welcome back. For this deep dive, we've gathered, well, a really intriguing set of materials all centered around change, really. Impermanence, transformation,
Hmm.
and that constant dialogue, you could say, between nature and, well, us, what we build. And we're looking at it all through the lens of the artist Bob Camblin.
Yeah, it's a great focus, and the sources you pulled together are perfect for this. We've got the YouTube breakdown of his piece, Spavinaw, Ancestor to Second, which is fascinating,
Right.
plus Camlin's own writings, his quotes, which are pretty unique.
Definitely quirky.
Yeah, quirky. And then some background on him, biographical stuff, reviews that link his art to wider ideas, like Zen.
Zen and the Art of Enlightenment was mentioned.
Exactly. And even some thoughts from Earl Staley, his friend, another artist. So a good mix.
So our mission today basically is to dive in, pull out those key insights about, things not lasting, things changing,
Right.
how Camblin saw it in his art, in his words.
And connect it all up, hopefully providing some of those aha moments for listeners, like you said, without it being, overwhelming.
Right. Just the good stuff.
Yeah.
So where do we start? Spavinaw Ancestor 2 seems like the obvious place.
I think so. It really sets the scene. The YouTube analysis and the book excerpt, they both zero in on the two panels, the diptych format.
Yeah.
On the left, it's described as this chaotic mess almost, like
Yeah.
organic stuff mixed with mechanical bits. Cables, maybe plants, junk,
A real tangle.
a real tangle. And then, boom, the right panel. Totally different. Just this single decaying catfish skull.
Wow.
Yeah, on this really bare, empty landscape, sand stretching out. It's quite a contrast.
That hits you straight away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The juxtaposition, life, death, decay.
Or transformation.
Exactly, transformation. It feels like it's all there in that first look.
It really does. And this is where those philosophical ideas come in handy. Like the YouTube piece mentions Mujo, the Zen concept.
Permanence, right.
Right,
Yeah.
impermanence. That skull becomes this like perfect symbol for how everything alive or man-made, it all just breaks down eventually.
So the takeaway isn't doom and gloom, it's more.
It's more about acceptance, maybe.
Yeah.
Recognizing that flux, that constant change, and maybe appreciating the now because it won't last.
Makes sense. Embracing the cycle, not just the beginning or the end.
Uh-huh. And that links nicely to that other idea mentioned from the I Ching, hexagram Yi.
Okay, what's the connection there?
Well, Yi is all about transformation. So the decaying skull, it represents how destruction or decay isn't just an end. It's clearing the space.
Clearing the way for something new.
Exactly. Like endings contain the seeds for beginnings. And maybe that chaotic left panel with all its jumbled stuff, maybe that's showing those seeds, the start of renewal amidst the breakdown.
Interesting. I like that. And that tension you mentioned, the natural skull, the barren earth,
Mhm.
versus the man-made mess on the other side.
Yeah.
It feels like he's pitting our human attempts to, control everything against nature's relentless flow.
That's a really key point, I think. The painting sets up that dialogue. Nature's inevitable cycles on one side, our constructions and interventions on the other. But even our stuff decays, right? It's all subject to entropy,
Entropy, things falling apart naturally. Like my garage.
exactly like your garage. But the analysis suggests the point isn't to, like, rage against entropy. It's to see its role in the bigger picture. The breakdown is part of the renewal.
Okay. And the style itself. Surrealism was mentioned. Symbolism.
Yeah, definitely echoes of surrealism, maybe Max Ernst or Dali, using decay not just literally but symbolically, tapping into something subconscious.
And that mix of the machine aesthetic with vanitas, those old paintings reminding you you're going to die.
Yeah, it's like he's updating those Vanitas themes for a modern, maybe more technological age. It's a cool blend.
Very cool.
And one of the reviews, the one connecting to Zen and the Art of Enlightenment, points out how Camblin's drawings often do this too, make these paradoxes visible, meditations on how temporary everything is.
It's a good bridge then to his actual words, his quotes and other mysteries.
Perfect timing.
This first one is just brilliant. Fortunately, some things remain forever or another 10 years, perhaps.
Yeah, that sets the tone, doesn't it? Dry, witty, and straight to the point about transience.
Totally. And then this next one, it gets more personal. As they approached, the memory of songs and music stopped at the moment the texture of its decay became visible to them. Sad how we all aged at that moment in time. Salt Air Summer, 1967.
Oof, that's evocative. He's linking a specific memory, a sensory thing like music, to this sudden realization of decay, of aging.
It really grounds those big ideas in, like, a single moment of human feeling. How even memories aren't permanent.
And then he shifts gears a bit. Look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic, and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both.
Okay, so multiple paths to understanding. Science, magic, art, philosophy, they're intertwined.
Seems like it. And he talks about this perfectly average view, embracing both whiteness and blackness, hoping to see them meet in the gray. It suggests he wasn't about extremes, more about finding truth in the balance, in the messy middle ground between science and, well, magic.
I like that, an openness. Then there's find something in nature that completes you and then surrender.
Simple but deep. Connects right back to Spavinaw, doesn't it? Finding your place in the natural order and then letting go.
Right.
Trusting the flow.
Surrendering control, which isn't always easy, as this next quote seems to suggest. In the balance, patience and yet. Freedom again, and yet, in silence, the reality can be maintained. In the reality, the pain that I move away from. True love moves to indifference to protect itself.
Whoa. Yeah, that's complex. Speaks to the struggle, right? Balancing patience and freedom, silence and reality, love and indifference as self-protection. It feels very human, very tangled.
It really does, that push and pull, and then you get these almost Zen koan-like lines. Step off the train of thought to find the power that is no power, to do the work that is not work, to laugh the true laugh. Bending is not bowing.
Right. It's that call to intuition, isn't it? To get beyond just rational thinking. Non-action, maybe. Wu-wei.
Could be. Getting past the ego's chatter.
Yeah. And then this beautiful description of interconnectedness. The cosmos waves as me with tree leaves. Sun-heated air moves across the electrons of my skin. Sunlight reflects those greens. First, white, then yellow-green, and in deep shadows, blue.
You can almost feel that, the sun, the air, that sense of being part of it all.
Total unity. And he captures these little moments like haikus. The starlings in broken branches with no buds, or the clouds circling as if we humans are the intruder.
That one really flips the perspective, doesn't it? Who's visiting whom?
Exactly. Little observations with big implications. And the metaphor. Poor fish, trapped by the changing tides. So much like us.
So simple, but yeah.
Yeah.
Resonates. Cotton force is bigger than ourselves.
Very relatable. But then there's this potential curveball. This egg in brown leaves has a great secret of mine. That nothing changes.
Wait, what? After all this talk of impermanence, how does that fit?
Well, maybe it's not that things don't change, but the process of change itself, the cycle. Maybe that's the constant. The egg holds the potential for the cycle to continue, so in that sense, the underlying pattern doesn't change.
Okay. A deeper constancy beneath the flux, I could see that.
And he mentions wanting a mystic switch, and that truth changes. It suggests his understanding wasn't fixed, it was dynamic, personal.
Like truth itself is impermanent, or at least our grasp of it.
Maybe. And this advice, learn not to look, but to see. And accepting failure as part of success.
That's about process over outcome, right? Engaging more deeply, not just skimming the surface, trusting the journey.
Exactly. And seeing everyone as a mirror, more interconnectedness. And art being just a partial retention of the whirlpool of relationships.
Love that phrase, whirlpool of relationships. Captures the complexity and how art can only grab a piece of it.
It really does. He seems very aware of limitations. Like the artists struggle with novelty versus vision in a disposable art culture.
And his solution, stay anonymous and you are free. Let go of the ego again.
Yeah. Which leads to that killer line. In explaining something, it was killed.
Ouch.
Yeah.
The limits of words. Sometimes analysis does kill the magic, doesn't it?
It really can.
Yeah.
You need that direct experience. But then he offers this stark, almost poetic list, embracing the endpoint. White crystals, white salt, white wing, white bones, dry feathers, dried flesh, dried rocks, dried sand, dead bird, dead lake, dead sand, dead land.
Wow. Just raw acceptance, no filter.
Total embrace of the cycle's end. But then immediately follows it with encouragement. There are no mistakes. You're doing the best you can, and mistakes are nature's way of telling you to trust your instincts.
That's beautiful. Like mistakes are just natural feedback, course correction.
Trust the process, trust yourself. And the hologram idea. We are holograms, and the more we get together, the clearer it becomes. Collective understanding.
Cool analogy. And thinking about the universe as finite, steady state all at once, or maybe we're just dreaming it, that's pretty mind-bending stuff.
It really pushes boundaries, but he brings it back to the cycle. A cycle, a beginning and ending the next step and the next death. An action required a link to the past, a thread of the future, time as this continuous loop or spiral.
Right. And even that image of the phoenix, but it's frozen in a salty shell, unable to burn itself to a new life.
Potential for renewal, but blocked. Maybe temporarily is another complex image.
And the realization, the living was the meaning. After all the philosophy, it comes back to just living, the present.
Yeah, the experience itself.
Yeah.
The rest is residue for reflection. And then that cosmic scale,
Mhm.
folding back in 80 billion years, puts things in perspective.
Seriously. And it's great how he weaves in others. Watts, James, Sartre,
Bergson, Teilhard de Chardin, Jung.
Lamarck, Koestler, even quotes from the Matis.
Yeah. Dostoevsky, Salinger, Updike.
Yeah.
Huxley saying consistency is contrary to life. He was clearly reading widely, thinking deeply, connecting dots.
Absolutely. It shows a mind really engaged with these big questions from all angles.
And that Huxley quote feels like the perfect segue into looking at his actual life and art, his own inconsistencies and evolution.
Okay, let's do that. The biobasics. Oklahoma, born 1928. Kansas City Art Institute. That Fulbright to Italy sounds key.
Seems like it was. Then teaching, but eventually, from 76 on, just the nomadic artist life. Dedication.
And versatile too. Oils, acrylics, watercolors, prints, drawings, painted paper. Tried it all.
Yeah. And the sense that his art wasn't really for the critics or the market necessarily, more for like a direct soul-to-soul connection.
Bypassing the usual channels. And his style changed, right? From abstract impressionism towards that Muchas Volantes thing, inspired by Dada, surrealism.
Definitely evolved. And that ties into his collaborative side too, sometimes signing work anonymous, submerging the ego like we talked about.
Right, and Muchas Volantes, the dots and dashes, the optical effects.
Yeah, it challenges how you see, literally makes the image shimmer or shift, like reality itself isn't fixed. It demands you participate.
Mirrors the themes perfectly. And those recurring images, puppets, scarecrows, skulls, reliquaries.
The bio connects them to the life cycle, metamorphosis, hidden meanings, his personal symbols for these big ideas.
It also mentions his early work had social protest elements
Yeah.
before shifting more inward.
Yeah, an evolution from outward critique to exploring that inner symbolic world, like his own journey mirrored the art's focus.
And his goal? Remake Goya in 20th century terms. Wow. That's ambitious. Tackling those dark, profound human truths, but for his time.
It is. And using text and drawings, sometimes as clues, sometimes maybe misdirection, forcing you to engage, to figure it out.
No easy answers. Layers of meaning, ambiguity increasing the closer you look, secrets emerging over time.
Exactly. Art that keeps revealing itself. Which makes Earl Staley's perspective interesting.
Yeah, the friend and fellow artist. Shared studios.
What struck me was Staley saying he learned how to draw and paint from Camblin. That's a huge testament.
Definitely. And confirms Camblin was a great storyteller, too. Must have been lively.
You can imagine. And those collaborative shows they did, like the tattoo show or the camping show, sound experimental, questioning the norms.
Pushing boundaries together.
For sure. And Staley talks about Camblin's later nomadic phase, how he sort of drifted away from the Houston scene, adds to the enigma.
This restless spirit following his own path.
But Staley's lasting warmth and respect for him as a friend and teacher really comes through. It adds that human touch.
It does. Rounds out the picture. So bringing it all home, his dive really shows Camblin was consistently wrestling with impermanence, with transformation.
Yeah, through nature, through human experience, through philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
It's all woven together in his art and his thoughts.
And the work itself, with all its layers and echoes of Zen or the I Ching, it really asks you to slow down, to contemplate.
It rewards that kind of attention.
So, for everyone listening, especially if you like those aha moments but want to avoid getting bogged down, I hope exploring Camblin's world has sparked some connections for you. Thinking about decay and renewal, chaos and order, how might that view change how you see things in your own life?
Yeah, it's good food for thought, which maybe leads to one final question to ponder. Given Camblin's fascination with cycles and hidden meanings, what ordinary thing in your life, something you see every day, might actually hold its own secret of transformation, just waiting for you to, well, not just look, but to see?
Ooh, I like that. Something to keep turning over.